Jen will happy there you can't to Pashila. Mishnala Liwakana, Ahituana, there you found. Omniche Kilet to Kashila, Vashtaya Garden. Oyatiki Echa to Kashila, Iwash the picture. Taku won't lack up Ikilana to Kashila. Vashtel Garabna, War Blazer, Oyaku picture. Na Takashila, War Walla. We chose on the walk, yeah. Bon Shila, Hena, Luharmonic beat that Tukashila. The out Donna Kujapi, Donna our Yokshita Tukashila, was Shiglapi. The Donna asked the stage, Elpi, we won, what she be. You took Tukashila, the now our Atiha Malati, na our Washtaya Kalik, the Okila Furniture with Tukashila, without the asking.
Here we have a list of council reps that need to be excused. We have Michelle, said that she's on travel today and tomorrow. Raymond, he has spiritual leave. He'll be gone today and tomorrow. Dwight needs to be excused today and tomorrow. Bill's going to be late. He'll be in by 12 p.m. Martha needs to be excused. Michael will be late. Chair needs to be excused for today and tomorrow. Anybody else that needs to be excused? Stan.
2 o'clock today. I got PT this afternoon.
2 o'clock. Lila.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to be excused about 2:30.
Jordan.
Same about 2:30.
Kathy. Okay, we have need a motion to approve the excuses. Go ahead, Chris.
Before we do that, I just have some, I got a key stretch call on me, trying to watch my pages up here. I just want to apologize for missing last meeting. I was praying, and anyways, I had a lot of time to reflect, a lot of time to have one-on-one with Creator to really, I guess, address things within myself and then my outlook. And so I just wanted to share some thoughts, and so I apologize too. Anyways, last meeting, I noticed that we selected committees, which is good. We needed them. But at the same time, I know that we left people out of there for whatever reason. We judge from what people do from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. I know we do. And then our election board, regardless if we don't like someone or not, they still deserve the due process. And if we're really about policy, then we got to give them that due process too. That's probably another conversation for later today. But back to my first statement about the committees, I say we judge people from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. because we do. Because sometimes people have the quirks, some drink, some do drugs, some eat, some exercise. But we do whatever we do to make ourselves feel better. And sometimes under influences, we say things that are really, really mean to other people. We take it to heart. And anyways, I know that we judge people from what they do from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. And it's crazy because who are we to have that? Who are we to judge people from what they do? Because I know that we ain't perfect. I know that we struggle too with trying to just make it off. We're put in the public eye. Some of us, we get council members, some of us, we get reprimanded from our communities. We don't talk about it. Some of us, council reps, go to jail on a monthly basis. We don't talk about it. Some of our council reps can't run from their past, no matter how big, no matter how right we are today. We still can't run from our past because media is forever. And anyways, one thing I want to say is that these phones are not executive session. What goes on in these phones, in my eyes, our people have a right to know. And so, I apologize to all of you out there. It took me so long to wake up to realize that I work for you. I'm a servant leader. We're all supposed to be servant leaders. And with that idea of servant leadership, it means to help our people thrive, to help our communities thrive, to help our nation thrive. And sometimes we struggle with that because, the biggest eye-opener that I realize is our heart's severed. Our heart is severed from this room in here, and it's not always like that. I know that we do great things, but sometimes we forget that it's our heart that makes us do a lot of great things. We're expected to move boom, 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 but Yeah, with that mentality came across the sea so that you don't have time to think. And so I commend the ones that do ask the questions, but as a collective effort, I know that when one does wrong, we're all in the wrong. And to all the people out there who are listening, from this point forward, I invite you into this room. I invite you into this room to every meeting, every committee meeting, because this room belongs to you. This room is your room, and with that constant reminder of the people in here will help us, understand that it's our heart that we have to do things with in a good way. We all have to come together. We all have a strength that another person doesn't. And it's this unity that I've come to understand that we really, really desperately need. But I know that if we don't like someone in this room, we'll never like them. I know that. And we can talk all the glitz and glamour that we want when the TV's on, but once it's off, I know how we talk to each other. And our compassion is the last thing that we think of. And so I invite the public to come in here and to be that constant reminder of who we need to be. And the last thing that I want to say is I had a lot of anger. I have a lot of anger in me that I realized while I had that time out there. And I asked myself, why do I have that anger? It's because I've allowed so much stuff to happen in front of me without saying anything. It's because I see our colleagues argue with each other without the idea of compassion being in there. It's because when we don't succeed in something, we cry, we whine. Now, I'm the youngest one here, but when it comes to our mentality, I'm sorry to say, but I know I'm not the youngest one in here when it comes to that. And so anyways, to the people out there, when you come in here, I've listened to elders speak. I've come in here and shared their thoughts, shared their emotions, shared their pain with us and how they feel. Because I know a lot of us are feeling angry too with how we run things around here. But for some reason, we don't speak up. We allow it to happen because we allow it to be that way. What we inherited, we allowed it to be that way, And it's been like that for many, many years. And I know I'm not the only one that has these feelings, but when people come in here, they share their thoughts, share their things, and then they leave. They feel better about that. But what do we do in return? We ask, Itansha, if we can have thicker laws so that people in here have to come and respect us. Who are we to ask for that? The reason they don't respect us is because we don't respect them at the end of the day. And I know not all of us are like that, but you know how it goes. For one bad apple, it turns the whole tree bad. And so it's a collective effort. And I just wanted to say that going forward, it's a job. Like I keep hearing it and I keep hearing it's easy to say until it happens to you. And I know for a fact that the people, I've never had a problem with the people. I've only had problems in this room during council meetings. And it's crazy that we call each other moles. We call each other this, that, and this. For executive session, I get that. That's private. But these phones, they're not. And so going forward, I'm going to request to be taken off these group chats if you guys are going to continue talking ill about people, because I'm going to share it. I don't care about that anymore. I'm going to share what we say to our community members. I'm going to protect them from the real bullies that are, in this room. And if you feel offended by what the people are saying, or if you feel threatened by how the people enter this room, no one's ever going to hurt anyone in this room, especially when that camera's on. No one is ever going to hurt anyone in this room. So to say that you're fearful of the people, my own opinion, and I understand if it hurts, is maybe this isn't your job, because we serve those people and they give us that power. It's not the other way around. We have no power. No one in this room is mighty. No one in this room has real power. But as a collective effort, we can be powerful. We can do great things. I know we can, because it's in our hearts. It's the sicknesses of the mind that make us who we are today. It's the sicknesses of the mind that severed our heart. And
Good morning.
so I'll hit you too. Thank you.
Motion
By second.
Move excuse, second by Chris. Question by Ben. All in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Opposed?
0.
Not voting?
0.
Motion carried. Okay, we have the agenda approval. We have the regular agenda today. We have some business this morning. We allowed the SWA to bring down David Riley, Indigenized Energy, talk about what he's going to do for SWA. And we have Mr. Pete Cummings for leadership training. He wants to talk about what we can do as far as our programs to have some type of leadership, some professional development for our workers and our employees. So, Anita, is there anything else that we need to add? Lila?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know our agenda is always really loaded. It's always full, but we have a lot of business that we need to continue moving forward. And I want us to put ARPA on here. In my mind, I'm just calling it phase 2 for myself because, I always believe we should be at least 2-3 months ahead, in this room and the work that we're doing. And we, about a month or 2 ago, we discussed all that. Jim came down here and told us what was going on. But I think, I'm already looking to September, October. I hear that the weather is going to be kind of not good this fall, this winter. So to be proactive, I'd like to see where they're at now. I was told that they're going to need more funding. So if we can add that to our agenda.
You want to do that today, this afternoon, or tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah. So we'll get through what we can.
I'll bring him down in the morning then, okay?
Okay.
I'll start with it in the morning. Jordan?
Sherry just messaged about that ICBG, the selection that we did. Sarah saying that we need to consider and amend it, so as soon as we get that, then I need to do that right away.
Okay, I'll put that down. And then there also was some talk of clothing orders this year. Evidently, the Budget and Finance had made the money available through ARPA funds to be able to get clothing orders. So I think one of the council people were saying that we probably needed to deal with that as soon as we can, make sure that they got them in a timely manner. Lisa?
We did appropriate some money for it, but we need to draft the resolution.
Okay.
So that's kind of where we're at with that.
Okay, so maybe we can deal with it tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I need a motion to approve the agenda. Go ahead, Chris. Oh,
Actually, I have a motion to.
motion by Chris, second by Jordan, question by Kathy. All in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Opposed?
0.
Not voting.
0.
Motion carried. You need to bring that up too, okay? 11 tomorrow. And then a nursing home's gonna be here at 11 tomorrow, so they wanna give a presentation, so. Okay. We'll start out with SWA. Are you guys ready? David, are you ready? Monica, are you ready? You're supposed to do the presentation, so. Yeah.
The main thing is, I think I've been back here, it was a while ago when we last were at the meeting, but, he did do our letter of intent for a grant, and there were 14 tribes, and we were awarded through EPA and Solar for All. So we have a resolution because it's gonna be several components, and they will kind of give you a synopsis of where we are. So we're running this through, the 3 affiliated tribes. So there's 14 tribes in it for solar or for heating for our people. So we would like to probably, I'll turn it over to Dave and Shelby and Cody. They're with the Indigenized, and they will help us. And there's going to be a few people that in this resolution, one would be Resco and an alternate. And that alternate is to oversee and help housing authority, so we make sure that this keeps going. but, you know, sovereignty for solar, you know? So Dave Riley, if you can kind of give them some overhead of what the grant is. Thank you, and good morning. Sorry, my manners. Good morning.
Really honored to be here in your community. My name's Dave Riley. I work with Indigenized Energy, and I'm going to turn it over to my my fearless leader to kind of introduce the meeting. And I'm here today to answer questions and help understand the thinking behind this resolution and the steering committee for this big grant and the coalition. Well, Cody, can you hear us okay?
Yep, I can hear you guys okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, pretty well, yeah.
Sound like a power announcer.
Got one of those old blowhorns from the 80s, huh? Sounds good. Well, as long as you guys can hear me. First, before I get started, I want to maybe, you want to introduce yourself, Shelby, real quick?
Hold on, we're trying to turn it down. You're kind of loud.
Try to tone it down, Cody.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. You're trying to turn
Okay, oh,
we're
sorry.
too loud, I guess.
My name is Shelby Keplin. I'm an enrolled member of the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa in North Dakota, and I am the tribal relations specialist for Indigenized Energy and the point of contact for our SFA coalition. Thanks for your time, everyone.
Can you give us a second?
Yeah, so we can turn your volume down.
Yeah, we're having just a little technical difficulty.
Blowing us out the door.
Maybe I just talk really lightly. Too early.
Go ahead, Cody.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Well, thanks, Shelby, for introducing yourself, and I'll try not to talk too loud. But
There's only two options.
can we talk louder? Okay.
Good.
Sounds good. All right. My name is Cody Two Bears, enrolled member of the Standing Rock Sioux tribe. I'm the founder and executive director of Indigenized Energy. And I'd like to thank, the tribal leadership for this time. We all know how busy you guys definitely are with a lot of things that are going on within your tribe. I also served on my tribal leadership from 2013 to 2017 on the Standing Rock Sioux Tribal Council during that time. And I served that community of Cannonball. I think a lot of your tribal members there come and stood in my community there during the No Dapple fight that I was the community leader for the tribe during that time, for the No Dapple in 2015. But since after, politics, I really had the passion to drive energy within our tribal nations because the importance of it. Generations of the stories that my grandma have told me and the history of my people there on Standing Rock. Of course, we're sister tribes. We're all part of Ochente Shakoi, and we know the history of extraction of our lands and definitely the energy projects that have really affected our tribal lands in history's past. So it's really, really been important to me to, really align initiatives like food sovereignty, traditional medicines, culture, language that are so important to our tribes. I really feel like, for our next 7 generations and for our future generations, energy sovereignty now really is the focus too, as well as just as important as those other initiatives as we move forward. It's just one of those things where, where do we begin? How do we begin? And what is the path forward to be able to do that? And, I know the Northern Plains tribes definitely don't have a lot of resources to pay outside entities to do this types of work. So it was really important to me to initiate a nonprofit called Indigenized Energy. The solar farm you see behind me was the one I created there in my community, which is the largest solar farm in the state of North Dakota yet still today. That offsets a lot of electricity within my community of Cannonball. Cannonball, where I grew up, is really the lowest status community in the state of North Dakota. So I definitely understand the conditions of growing up that way and really the need and how to actually do things in and around our communities of where we come from, which is really important to me. So those protocols are really, really deeply in depth within indigenized energy on how to do this work within tribal communities that need it the most, especially the Northern Plains tribes, where I still feel like when a lot of energy funding becomes available or energy projects, I really feel like we're always left behind here in the Northern Plains tribes compared to the rest of the country. So it was really important to me to find creative ways on how to bring our energy systems and energy sovereignty within our own tribal homelands. Indigenized energy will never come into your tribe or any tribe and tell you guys what to do. We really want to hear your guys' vision, your mission, and the direction you guys want to go as tribal leadership, and your tribal elders and your spiritual ways there, and really direct us and telling us how you want your future to be. And we're going to try our very best to help align that with you and bring those resources to your community, basically free or really nothing at all. The reason why we're able to do this work is because, we're funded by foundations, we're funded by philanthropic dollars, individual donors. Sometimes we're funded by grants, like the one that we're going to be going over with you today. But it was really important to us about this SFA when we first heard of this announcement that, it was going to be difficult for tribes to get it applying alone by themselves. So we developed the very first energy coalition within the Northern Plains, which you guys are a part of. 14 tribes that, go from Montana, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, and a tribe in Wisconsin that's a part of this historic coalition to really help bridge those gaps of the energy divide that really strangleholds our communities and what, the co-ops are charging us. In my community, we pay 14 cents per kilowatt hour, but you go 7 miles off the reservation in my community, same co-op, same utility line, they pay 7 or 8 cents. And those are just some of the, the wrongdoings of the co-ops and the energy sector of mistreating us as Indigenous people. And it's really time for us to look at how we can do energy on our own homelands and capture some of the opportunities that are out there at the federal level, through the philanthropic level and the foundation level, to bring a lot more resources into our tribal communities to start to build that out. There's a lot to go over today, of course, but mainly I just wanted to tell you that the SFA that was awarded a historic amount of $136 million was awarded to our 14 tribes of our coalition in this region, which is very historic in itself. MHA Nation, which is the lead recipient of this grant that's going to basically house the funds and everything like that, and making sure that you guys as tribal leaders sign contracts with them so we can start to get the distribution of the money rolling and everything like that. The reason why MHA was chosen because, I think they handle like billion-dollar budgets within their financial department, and we didn't really want to put that hundreds of millions of dollars budget just on any tribe to cause a burden on anybody. So that's why MHA was chosen to kind of lead the way in that effort strategically and partner with all the other 13 tribes to, really push this narrative of the Solar for All project and everything like that. Now, what does the Solar for All really mean? What can we do with the money and how can we impact our communities the very best way we can? That's what we want to be here today to share those knowledges with you and understandings and make sure we answer every question that we have for you as far as that goes. But I want to turn it over to my colleague, David. He's there on site. I apologize. I'm not able to be there today with you all. Hopefully I can make it down there in the near future very soon as a lot of this project gets rolled out and everything like that. But I'll turn it over to David and he can kind of go over with you what the Solar for All looks like, what we can and can't do with it, and then making sure you guys really understand why, the tribe needs to really work with the housing authority there. And even beyond the housing authority, the THPO needs to be involved with site assessments, making sure we're following NEPA law as we place these solar systems. Also, your TERO department is going to need to play a big role in that because workforce development is going to be a big thing for your tribe as well as we move forward. But of course, a lot of other tribal departments that are going to need to work together to accomplish this feat of really laying out and launching this $136 $36 million initiative. One last thing I'll say before I turn it over to David, there's been other sources of funds that's been awarded to tribal nations within your state. Green Capital was also awarded, I think it was $60 million for the state of South Dakota through the SFA as well. And I just wanted to make sure I bring to your attention that when they, within their grant proposal, I think it was 20 or 25% of that was supposed to be awarded to tribal nations, is what they proposed within their proposal of that grant, that the money that they got awarded. So we're really holding their feet to the fire to making sure that that obligation that they put in their proposal, that they're going to follow through with that. And that 25% of that $60+ million that they got is also going to be resourced to your community as well. So it's our job to make sure we're holding them accountable to make that happen, and working closely with them to making sure that they're distributing that 25% to the tribal nations there in South Dakota as well. So there's a lot of moving parts, but of course there's still a lot of unknown yet. Our PO officer from the EPA, they were delegated one to us about 3 weeks ago. Since that person, they removed that person, and they're giving us a new program officer, which we're yet to meet here, hopefully in a week and a half or so we can kind of get more understanding around the EPA and some of the things we can do as we kind of roll out this plan. So we don't have all the answers today. We're still trying to really understand what the EPA is going to allow us to do right from the get, and what we can and can't do moving forward. So we'll continue to communicate with you guys as a tribe. We always have an open door policy for you guys to make sure that if you have any questions, transparency is always the biggest thing for me and my organization working with tribal nations, is to answer all your questions in a timely manner and making sure you have everything you need to make the proper decisions as we move forward. But with that, I'll turn it over to David, and he can explain some of the SFA things and some of the exciting things that come along with this grant. Thank you.
Thanks, Cody. I used to be a college professor, and I feel like I'm in the hot seat, kind of like I was. It was like first day class, a whole bunch of new people wonder what I'm going to do. But it really is an honor to be here. 20 communities of your reservation in Rosebud. I know you have a big agenda today. I'm going to try to get to the point. I worked with Cody and Shelby over a year ago to start preparing for this proposal. When I worked at Penn State, I had to write grants all the time. When I saw this particular one, I got very excited, because what this program is designed to do is very different. It's not really a project. It's intended to launch programs. It's intended to make solar accessible to the communities and the people that need it the most. And they actually put a lot of thought at the EPA into this program. And I'll share a couple things that are unique about the program that really got us attention and really was the driver to help us form this coalition of tribes and go after it. And thank goodness we were successful. One of the things, as an engineer, I understand homes and energy. A lot of grants will pay for weatherization, or they'll pay for solar. Some of them are starting to pay for batteries. This grant pays for all those things and more. If you have a house that you want to put solar on and it needs a new roof, it'll pay for that. You want to have a training component with your college to help people get jobs to do this work, it'll pay for the training. This program was actually designed by the former leader of Grid Alternatives, which I think you may have heard that name before. Tim Milinik has done some good things in your community, but they really understood what homes need and what communities need. So that was exciting to me, that we can go into a home and do several homes. It'll also pay for electrification. The EPA would like propane furnaces and stoves out, and electric things in, driven by solar, because they want fossil fuels out, whether it's dirty electricity or propane. And frankly, propane costs a lot of money, and you can save a lot of money by switching something off of propane onto electric, powered by solar. So at its core, it's a good program. It's what homes need. The other thing that was very compelling about the program is that, in addition to giving out money, like we got $136 million of $7 billion that were given out. The other thing that I would like to give you at least an opportunity to begin to understand about this grant, they also gave $20 billion to green banks and native CDFIs to start the process of making solar available to more people through financing. And if I got solar in my house, I would take out a loan. I would take out a home equity loan, or I would get financing from the solar company. And my payment for that loan might be $100 a month. But my electric bill is going to go down $150 a month. I'm saving money and the loan is getting paid back by the solar, and I didn't have to write a check for the solar myself. That's how most solar happens. Even the big solar farms are done with financing. Someone loans the money to that project, the electricity that's generated creates money, that pays back the loan, plus more, and people make money. So lending in native communities is not a common thing. However, there are some tribes that are beginning to understand that these energy projects can involve some financing. What the EPA is hoping is that their money can be used to de-risk the loans and allow tribes to borrow a little money. Let's say maybe you have enough money with just the grant for 300 solar homes. Borrow a little money, you can turn that into 350 homes. And the money that's saved can pay back that grant, and you can begin to see how solar gets built with financing. The other thing that's changed the game is that the government incentives that have existed for decades that have allowed solar to grow were not accessible to tribes. You could get a 30% rebate on your $100 million solar farm from the government, but only in the form of a tax credit. So it wasn't available to tribes or nonprofits like ours. The Inflation Reduction Act changed that. They made that incentive available to tribes, and they increased it. So that even money you might borrow, even money you might put in your own, a tribe might put in, like MHA, who has the money, they put their own money into a $10 million solar project, they could get up to $5 million back from these government incentives that are now available to tribes. So this program comes at a time where the game has changed for solar, and it's much more accessible, but we know that you need to see that. So this grant is intended to launch every native community we're working with on a road where solar is more accessible and more accessible, and the financing of solar is possible. The last thing I'll say is that the tribes that are most able to take advantage of this new opportunity and these new, how the game has changed, are tribes that have utilities. And Rosebud and the ResCo is on its way, and it's been very successful with other grants for solar and energy. And we're very excited about the path that you are on to be able to really take advantage of some of these new opportunities. So the last thing I'll say is I'll explain the resolution that we brought for you to consider. Because it's a coalition of tribes and it's a lot of money, the first question is, well, how much of that 136 million is ours? Not my place to say, and until the MHA actually has a contract, they can't say either. But the steering committee that we are forming and offering every tribe to have a seat on will be the entity that monitors how the money is distributed. And it's a 5-year grant. And the plan would be, as Cody said, there's other money out there. We think we can grow the money that's available because of the other awards to the state. The plan would be that the steering committee approves a process to allocate that money to tribes. It'll probably 6 or 7 million for the first year. But then a year later, we will revisit if we've secured more money, or if another tribe wants to join that wasn't able to join our coalition initially. But the steering committee will have a say in how those resources are distributed. And Cody mentioned how important transparency is. As we wrote this grant, there was a wonderful elder in Northern Cheyenne, William Waxalon, who counseled me in the writing of the grant. Coalitions of tribes are hard. They bring up a lot of concerns and potential conflicts, and have a way to have transparency so everyone knows what's going on. Every tribe has an opportunity to have a say. So the first meeting of the steering committee is actually planned in Bismarck in the first week of September as a part of the United Tribes Technical College, their annual conference and leadership conference. Funding for travel to that is going to be allowable in the grant when it unfolds. And I'm here today really to answer your questions about this opportunity, but also emphasize the value of having representation on the steering committee who could come back here and brief you on what's really happening. And you don't have to take my word for it. So those are the main points that I wanted to make, and I just want to open up the floor for questions and comments for Cody and Shelby to respond to. So thank you for letting me share that bit.
Okay, let's get this resolution on the floor and then we can have some more discussion on it, and then we need somebody to present it.
I'll go ahead and move for emergency legislation.
Okay, the number is 182. We need a second. Wayne, question by Lila. All in favor, emergency legislation?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Opposed?
0.
Not voting?
1.
Carried. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve 2024-182.
Need a second? Fremont, go ahead.
I'll start at the 6th whereas. Whereas the Rosebud Sioux Tribe and SWA Corporation agreed to participate in a Northern Plains Tribal Solar for All Coalition is led by the Mandan Hidatsa Arikara MHA Nation, and whereas the U.S. Department of Environmental Protection Solar for All programs has awarded funds to the coalition for the development of solar energy and other measures for the purpose of lowering energy bills in our community and reducing the impact of fossil fuels on Earth. And therefore be it resolved that the Rosebud Sioux Tribe hereby approves Sachangu or SWA Corporation Chief Executive Officer and or designee execute and submit all pertinent documents to oversee the U.S. Department of Environmental Protection Solar for All program grant awarded funds to the coalition led by the Mandan Hidatsa Arikara MHA Nation, and now therefore be resolved that by this resolution, the Rosebud Sioux Tribe identifies Jamie Poiney, ResCo Director, as a primary representative on the steering committee, and Timothy Willink, Shanlin Renewable LLC, as authorized alternate for the steering committee. I guess I have a few questions. How many are composed of the steering committee?
One representative per tribe, so 14.
Okay. And then the grants that are awarded to this, are they going to be split up among all tribes? Or will we? Okay.
Subcontract. Every tribe will have a contract with MHA Nation.
Is there any more discussion on the resolution? Emily, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Good to meet you. I just had a small question on the alternate. I guess I'm not familiar with that individual, and so if they're going to be representing our seat on there, I would just want to make sure that that relationship is established and that you have the background and experience to represent us on that steering committee.
Yeah, he's been working with us on this grid alternatives, so he's got, information and participation at Sioux Village for everything we've been doing out there. Farm, the solar farm, the rooftop units and everything else. And so he's well aware, he's been working with us for years.
And we chose him.
Oh yeah, we chose him too.
Thank you.
So he helped with those grants and got input.
Thank you very much.
Also, I'd like to say when I'm up here too, this first year budget allows us to hire a project manager for our staff because we're overwhelmed with grants right now. We do need a project manager for this. That's going to allow us to pick up somebody too, and we do have somebody in mind who is, been in the solar field for 5-6 years already.
From our reservation.
From our reservation.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I do know Tim.
What
I know
way?
he's very capable and his heart is in this community. And I think I think he would represent well based on the good experiences I've had with him as well. So hope that helps.
David, can you explain to them about what he just made there about the hires that this SFA is going to allow for their side and our side?
Absolutely. As this is intended to be, and one way to think about this grant, it's not a project. It's intended to start a program. And one of the tribes are saying, well, where would this program lie? Some of them are putting it in community and economic development. Some of them are putting it in housing. It's really up to you. But it is a program. And therefore, it's important to have someone to run the program. So we included in the grant money for tribes to administer this. There's a 5-year runway of salary money for someone to run this program. We expect to advise and coach and support whoever gets hired. And we're excited about the candidate that's been thought about because she has a lot of solar experience. We will also be hiring on our budget 2 people from your community that we will train and direct and lead to help whoever you hire get this done. Because because a lot of this will be individual residences that get solar, maybe a battery, maybe a new water heater. That's going to require interacting with those residences and helping them understand when this is going to happen and getting it in the home and assessing the work. There's a lot of legwork that's required to put the scope of work together to go into 100 homes and do a bunch of work. So we will hire an on-site team. We do not need people who know solar. We will teach them that stuff. They need to know your community. They need to be welcomed at the door, maybe be related to the people that they're reaching out to. So that team of 3 is really important way that we feel confident that the leadership to get this grant done and the program started will be there. This program is also intended to generate revenue. So every home that gets solar, their electric bill is going to go down. There are ways that part of that savings in that house are returned back to the program that will sustain employment and also pay for the operations and maintenance of these systems over time, which is a big concern. So again, it's a program, not a project. It's intended to fund people and then sustain them with new positions for the future indefinitely.
Thanks for mentioning that, David. And I just wanted to say this one thing before we get to the next question. I understand. I grew up in one of these communities that are very tough to do O&M on anything that's being created. And my tribe here doesn't have money in their coffers to support O&M or even sometimes the insurance on things that we create. So sometimes building infrastructure is great, but long term, it does leave a burden sometimes on our people if we don't plan it out correctly. And that's not really, and I thought these things through really a lot in my vision on how this is going to lay out. And that's why what we say is it's not a project, it's a program, is because the savings that we generate in your community and all the tribal communities is going to be shared. So then we can take care of that O&M, we can take care of the insurance, and we can continue to push towards new projects with some of the fund money that's going to be revolving in that fund. And that allows it to be sustainable on its own, where, I really don't want to build projects and say a year later, Rosebud Sioux Tribe, we need money. We can't fix these things. And then we're looking for money and where to find it. So really that's a part of the planning process that's going to take place within this grant. The EPA is not going to release any implementation funds to any tribe until a plan is developed first. Every tribe is going to have to go through the planning stage on what this looks like before any other money is resourced to any tribe. And EPA made it very clear on that's how they want it to be. So within this first, 10 to 12 months, depending on how long it takes each tribe to create a plan, once that plan is developed and established, then we're able to start to get all those other things in place. And then they'll start to release some more of that implementation money to actually start to do the work and build these projects on the ground as they happen. So I just wanted to kind of explain that to you, that really this program is really important on how you as a tribe establishes that. And also at the same time, we're here to assist you in any which way we can. One quick example I will share with you on what kind of that looks like, because you guys could kind of develop that how you see fit for your people, is some tribes are going to use totally their whole housing authority to do this work. Some tribes are going to be a mixture of that. Some of them are going to want to put them on private homeowners, homeowners within the tribe. They're elderly. A lot of tribes that we've worked with are really focusing on elderly and making sure that they're taken care of first. And that might be a mixture of private homes, tribal housing, housing authority, or whatever type of homes you guys have on your reservations, you guys can mix and match that however you want. But it's really going to come down to developing an application that allows them to agree to those terms of being a part of the program and what that program looks like. So the good news on our side is we have examples of that happening now within the Menominee Nation of Wisconsin. They're currently doing this. We supported them in doing that effort. Also with the Northern Cheyenne, right now they have 15 built, but we're looking to do another 50. And then on top of that, the Solar for All, which could be hundreds more for you guys as communities. We're already developing programs like that with tribal nations that have been kind of successful to kind of start with, that really kind of lay the groundwork for what we're doing today. So this is not something I would say that's a guinea pig type of operation for, that we're going to work on that with these tribes. No, it's kind of really a proven concept that really allows this solar to be sustainable, because we know that when we built solar projects in the past, some of them are not really well maintained because there really hasn't been a plan that's been thought out on how to sustain these things on the O&M and the maintenance and the insurance part of that process. So I just wanted to make sure I was very clear with you that that's why these programs that are going to be set in place are so important, to make sure that what we create there is going to be there for years to come. We're hoping for the next 30 years that this is going to really support energy for your tribe. Thanks.
We have Wayne Boyd, Kathy, then Lisa.
Good morning. Welcome. Thanks for coming. I just got a couple of questions about the structure of things. You're talking about this big grant that's going to be given to 20 tribes in the coalition. So will a nonprofit then receive the grant, administer the grant, or will it be 20 separate grants administered by each tribe? How is this thing going to be structured?
That's a good question. The EPA has provided some guidance on this, but the MHA Nation is the main recipient, and all 14 tribes will have a subcontract with MHA. Indigenized Energy, will have a contract with MHA as well, and our role is technical support. So we are taking a lot of the load to do what I'm doing today, to help explain, answer questions, and guide tribes in developing a plan, using some of the strategies that we've experienced in other communities. So we're a technical support provider, also hiring people in your community to support. But your money does not flow through us. It'll be directly with a subcontract with MHA, but they've employed us to help guide and lead and administer and support all the other 13 tribes.
So MHA being the nonprofit you're talking about?
MHA Nation, the 3 affiliated tribes, they were the main recipient in North Dakota. So that tribe and the 3 affiliated tribes, they got the award from EPA.
So they got this $100 million award, and then they're gonna have individual tribes apply for a portion of that.
You don't have to apply. You already got it. You just have to do the work. One of the next thing we're doing is working with your contract officer or Changa to put the subcontract in place. There's no application required. That's done. The money will be allocated, of the 136, a portion of that will be allocated to every tribe, and it'll also grow. And how that allocation happens will be done by the steering committee that you just, are appointing today. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So this steering committee then will develop policy for MHA, or how does that process work?
The steering committee is going to approve policies that govern, the thinking about how the money will be distributed. And also, let's say in year 3 of this grant, if there's a tribe that was allocated money, but they're not getting things done, they're not spending it, we might reallocate some of that money to other tribes that are, because we don't want to not spend it. And the EPA is putting all this money, it's really allocating all this money in September, so that it's all awarded. It's somewhat protected from who in case. But the steering committee will help oversee and make transparent how the money's allocated. And again, we think the money will grow over the 5 years. And the steering committee will say, okay, we got another money from this Dakota award. How are we going to use that? Well, there's a tribe that wants to join the coalition because not every tribe did. I wish they would have. I think they're gonna wish they would have. Can we admit them with more money, and the steering committee will oversee all those transactions.
So Gary, is this that coalition you were talking about earlier that's gonna retrofit these homes?
Yep, listen, and, one other thing about this too, you know, once the steering committee gets in place, they're gonna be making all those decisions. That way, you know, Rosebud have a voice in there. Set this plan. The main thing is to get that plan going. We need to decide, work with Jamie, so we don't interfere with what the tribe is doing with their grant. I understand they're trying maybe thinking Horse Creek, but, you know, so, and we have an idea, maybe Parmalee. And so that's what all needs to be coordinated, how to work these projects, so we're not double dipping somewhere, you know, cross-referencing these monies, you know. So that's the main thing behind the steering committee. And we'll be working with the steering committee with Jamie as SWA sees what they need, put forth to her what we need. That too.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're finally talking about it, because I had some real concerns on how you were going to spend all this money. I mean, it's a massive undertaking you guys are talking about, because some of these houses aren't in the best shape, and they're out in the boonies. But so I'm glad that you're.
Coke heating was not the best design of heating. All that heat stays up here, you know, it don't get out where people are living in. So they got high heating bills out there through Lake Creek. So, you know, that's one area we'd like to take a look at. And there's a few probably other house communities that also looking at the same thing too. So we'd like to include all those ones first. Get those high bills down for those individuals.
Yeah, and you know, there's a lot of planning has to be done, and like you talked about Horse Creek, that was just mentioned. All those decisions haven't been made yet, so.
Yeah.
So that they're all just in planning sessions?
Yeah, once the steering committee's in place and everybody's bringing forth their plans from their tribes, our tribe needs to get together and have input, council needs to have input for Jamie to make that decision, you know?
Yeah.
Because I just one more comment. In addition to the funds you're talking about here, the tribe itself just received an award of 1.6 million. That's there for the same purpose, exactly the same thing. So.
And one of our goals at Indigenize Energy is to, not just for this project, but as you need or as the tribe wishes, we would love to be a resource to help coordinate those efforts. And we are currently working with a number of tribes, I would say in a holistic way, for all of their energy needs. And I'll give you an example. You might probably have an emergency management part of the tribe that works with FEMA, right? FEMA is now spending money not just on, FEMA buys a lot of generators. They're actually now considering how to invest in upgraded electric grids, even buying batteries in homes or batteries in critical buildings that can be combined with solar and generators, so that when the power goes out, they can stay running. So different agencies have different opportunities and funds, grants you already have, that are very complementary to this one that we're talking about today. We would love to help figure out how to coordinate them and invest the dollars in the ways that make the most sense. So that's something we're doing with a number of tribes, and also saying, well, the EPA will pay for batteries in these homes, which is great, but so will FEMA. Well, let's get FEMA to pay for the batteries and the EPA to spend more money on solar. But those are the kind of things we'll be helping navigate over the years to come as this grant unfolds and the program unfolds. I hope that makes sense.
And we have a few more questions, Dave. Kathy, and then Lisa, and then Monica, Ben.
Morning, thank you, Mr. Riley. I have a few questions. One of them was partially answered already, because I was going to ask who this covered, if it was for SWA, private homes, trailers, different things like that, different dwellings like that, which, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Yeah, Kirby answered. So that was my first question, which was answered. My next question is, I guess, but basically to you, who would do, or both of you, who will be the planning committee, who is going to be the person developing this plan? Because like we talked about earlier, any new project should always have a plan. There's tendency, like a lot of projects that have come up for the tribe have come up without an actual plan in place that we can all review. So who will be developing this plan? Is it just going to be Jamie, or is it going to be a few people working with Jamie?
Yeah, we're gonna hire a project manager for this, and, them and us, SWA staff, is gonna put forth, a proposal, a plan. We'll bring it down here to make sure you guys know what we're planning. It's not gonna interface with anything you're doing, you know, here, and if you guys go along with the plan, then we'll go forward with it.
Yeah, because we're gonna put this through us and do our approval of it, and then it's always good to have that plan coincide when we're doing something like this. That's why I was asking about the plan. It's so imperative, so important for us as a tribe to always have that plan. It's really detrimental when funding comes and there isn't actually a plan in place yet, because then all of a sudden you're finding out this and, you know, all these little other glitches that come along with it. So to me, it's very important for us to have that plan completed. So that answers that question.
And it's written into the part of the grant that has to be done.
Yeah.
Before you get the money.
Yeah. Okay, so the last question I have is, okay, now with this solar, what is it gonna, I mean, I know other people are probably gonna be curious as well. Is it the solar, is that what's in the background there? Is it solar paneling? Is it something that's gonna be next to the house, on the house? What exactly is it?
I think that's the question I want to answer.
Go ahead, Monica, answer the
You know,
question.
it's kind of like, it's an opportunity for communities to tell and give us what they would like. Are they interested in solar fields? Are they interested in the heating? Are they interested in the panels on top? But you want to go with something, and we did a project here back in the late 80s, early 90s, that did not want to see. We had a demonstration because we didn't know what is solar panel, what is a solar wind generator or power. So what we did is we noticed the solar panels have less movements and parts, so it is less to maintain. So, but it does help the grid, it helps us, and hopefully one day we'll be off that grid. But it's just an opportunity for the communities to tell us what they would like to see too. We don't want to run out there and say, oh, you have to take this,
Yeah.
you know? It's a great opportunity. It's eloquently put by Cody, you know? And so we don't want to be left out. That's why we pushed for this, to get in with the, 3 affiliated tribes to help us with this grant. But yeah, we want, and that's why there's so many components to it, so that we keep it moving steadily. We're gonna have bumps and whatnot, but we keep it moving. So we all can have an opportunity in this.
Well, thank you for that, because it was twofold.
Yeah.
Knowing what type of solar energy we're gonna use comes the next question, which has hurt our tribe in the past. The O&Ms is always so important. And so we need to make sure that everyone has that educational part of it to understand what it's gonna take to keep this functional. You could all go back to the wind project that was put up all over the place.
Yeah.
And now we have all these wind turbines that have obsolete parts, and the homeowner could not maintain it or buy the parts. And then you have some that did have the solar paneling on the side of their house where this is just one example, they didn't know how to maintain it. They didn't even know how to use it. So, oh, it's just there. So that's why I'm asking these types of questions on the planning part and the education part. And if it's going to the community members to make sure that they understand what it is and how it can be maintained, because you don't want to put all this money into this project and and really hope that it's gonna help reduce that cost of the, you know, so many people can't keep up with their heating bills, and it would be great, if whatever it is that's developed is gonna benefit so many of the lower income people that have such a hard time keeping like their electricity maintained. And if this is a heating source that's gonna help overall, it would be great. So those were the questions I had. Thank you.
Can I respond to that real quick? Sorry. Exactly. Thank you, Councilwoman, for saying those things, because I will say that's the reason why I created Indigenized Energy, for that very same reason, because of past experiences of not planning things through very well and putting projects out there that kind of give a black eye to our people and our tribe, and kind of really giving renewable energy a bad name. And a lot of it really is just because, you know, there wasn't enough planning involved to understand what that O&M looks like. But workforce development is really the key to this whole thing. And I just want to share one example. We've done workforce development now in a few tribes, and we actually partner with Red Cloud Renewable to do a lot of that training. So we will send a lot of your tribal members over to Red Cloud Renewable to get trained before this is even deployed. Just one quick example, when something went wrong in Northern Cheyenne, because of that workforce training and that development and that capacity building that we did within that tribe, those tribal members went to that site and fixed it themselves. And that's really the powerful thing that we want to bring to your tribal people, your tribal members, especially your young people that really want opportunity, right? And not really don't know where to go or how to start a career. And I started this energy career with really no education, and now it allowed me to bring a career in energy that brings industry leaders into this, or indigenous energy industry leaders into this whole level of thinking. So my mission is to not just deploy this $136 million to hire outside people to keep coming in and doing things for us. I want to spend this $136 million within these tribal communities, inject as much money into our communities as possible to the point where we can't handle it. And yeah, there's going to be some outside resources that are going to support and help us. But the vision behind this is to empower our people to learn what this looks like, to become energy expert leaders in the next 2 or 3 years. Because really, this is a 5-year project, and we have a lot of time to develop that workforce development within everything we do. And I think David said earlier, there's funds that are within this EPA that's going to allow that. So we want to train as many people in your reservation that's interested in this work. We want to train them. We want to make them understand, and we want to put them to work. And I think that's the biggest part of why, you know, I created this organization, is exactly everything that you said there, Councilwoman, to make sure that we do things right moving forward and not cause more of a headache by doing these things, you know, moving forward. We want to do the right thing that's going to support us and help us moving forward, and continue to build more of this as we, you know, move along as well. So thank you for making those comments. Absolutely. Very well said, very well heard.
I want to say one more quick thing. I think a big part of this plan is not necessarily going to be like the solar on the roof, solar on the ground. It's really whatever a home needs. And I'm excited, as I said, that the different things the grant will pay for. Our goal is to go in and reduce the bills in that house. And we're going to figure out the best way to do that. Whatever technologies, whatever new things. The grant also allows for the solar furnaces that are made by the Seventh Fire Tribe, a company up in Minnesota. Really great, completely native manufacturing. They make these wonderful solar furnaces. Whatever a house needs. The question and the plan is really going to be which houses. And like the Oglala, I was there this week. They plan to pick a couple developments and do every house in the development because they're all together. The houses were all built the same time, the same way, and they're going to pick some developments that are the ones that they prioritize. Other tribes are going to be, look, we're going to pick the elders or the people that are at risk of power outages, and we're going to prioritize those. I think the big part of the plan is going to be, where do you start? And the other part is, this is planned to be just the start. We'll get to the other homes over time. But one of the things we've noticed that when tribes are in position to start a program like this, starting with elders, starting with people who have multiple generations in their home and high light bills, and when you reduce their electric bill, it means more food, better clothes. I think you're going to be presented with a plan that will say, here's the priority of the homes, and then the grant will be used to whatever those individual homes need. If there's trees, put the solar over here. If there's not, we can put it on the roof, et cetera. So I hope that answers your question too. That's a big part of the plan, is going to be priority.
Lisa?
I had questions regarding the grant situation too that Wayne kind of got some clarity on. So, but when we do work on the plan for this, when we get together and Rosebud submits their plan, just keep in mind that, you know, we did go into green energy endeavors before, which was like the wind turbine, where the parts are now obsolete. We can't repair it. And the wind turbines, we blanketed St. Francis with them. And once they broke down, then that company went bankrupt. So now they're just sitting there. And just keep trying to remember that you know, the longevity and sustainability is there to keep those panels going, and to keep them in operation as long as we can. So that might be something to consider as part of the plan too.
Okay, we have Dan.
Good morning. Thank you guys for coming. Yeah, thank you. I guess reiterating the same thing they had. I mean, I was thinking about this the whole time. Again, too, this is almost like reinventing the wheel, I guess you can say, because it has happened in the past year. So mine are more comments and concerns, because again, we have like 20 communities on our reservation that have had this happen before. And again, there was nobody there to either fix them, tell them how it's going and stuff. So even right now with our streetlights coming up the hill there, those are solar panel. And I don't know who's supposed to fix those, but their lights are going out, all kinds of things. So to me, when I was running for council, that was my biggest thing, was to say, hey, we should have our own people, train them to be able to fix this. So that way we don't have to reach out to anybody, get a grant or get a contract or anything to that effect, to have these people, our own people, to come in and fix them. And the same thing too right now with all of these intersections that we have here too, is the same thing. We should have at least some kind of solar power or wind energy, something to that effect. I think all of our elders right now have those wind energy things because they were picked back in the day. And again, they're just sitting there. Just like our casino one is just sitting there. Nobody knows how to fix them. So those are my biggest concerns, is having our own people trained to be able to fix those. And again, too, that's going to keep us from, you know, spending money that's going to be going towards these in the wintertime. But right now, I guess my main focus is, when is this going to happen and how soon is it going to happen? Because again, this winter is going to be coming up. It's going to be a harsh winter possibly again, and we need heat as possible. Propane is going to come up. So this is great. I'm going to support this because again, solar power is one of the biggest things that at least you need to be, you know, harnessing, I think. So again, like I think Cody up there, I mean, I'm not that familiar with it, but I understand, you know, because our younger generation also understands it, that solar power is a way to go and stuff. So to me, I'm thinking this is what we should be doing as a tribe. So for me right now, I guess thinking it's really kind of hard for me to kind of grasp that here we are trying to get the funding for it when we should already have a plan already put in place. There should be a plan already. Here on the Rosebud, we have 20 communities with 5 counties reaching out to the east. So there should be already a plan in place already about these houses on what they should be doing. And I believe our housing should have been that already too, already done that. Because I think there are some houses out to the village that has the solar paneling, and it's just sitting there. A lot of people don't know what they're doing, what's happening with it. So I believe like housing, I mean, just should have something in place there. If we were to get an abundance of money, this is what we could be doing with this and stuff. But I do understand that there's not very many people who have the education of the solar panel or even the wind energy. But we always bring people in to say, oh, you can do this. It's a great opportunity. But we never train our own people to understand it and be able to fix it. So that's my biggest concern. And also, I would like to see that more right now, of that training in place, especially with TECRO. I believe TECRO should probably have been here too, because they actually have people that are calling in every day looking for jobs to help themselves, benefit for their families. So those are my concerns. And I would like to see that before this even was in place here. I mean, again, if it was out there, then we should already had that in place. And if the tribe's doing it, then they should be working together with the tribe to try to get these plans together with our own Rosebud Sioux tribe, 20 communities, to say Milks Camp out there, or even Spring Creek has this plan in place there with solar power or wind energy. And I don't know, somebody's going to be an expert in anyways in the community, because who's going to take upon this responsibility? So we're going to leave it up to somebody somewhere else to take on this responsibility, and they have to contact them. But they're going to have to go out to these communities to do that, because the biggest part of this is saying we're going to help a tribal member in a house to have their houses warmed or electrical type thing, and reduce their bill is what we're trying to do. So right now, I think we need to talk with the Community Chairman Association also too, because they're in the same boat with this too. So I'm just making sure that we on the Rosebud have our ducks in order too, to make sure that when we go to this coalition to say, hey, this is what we want here, and have somebody with a firing type of attitude to say, this is what we want here. But to me, I always think, getting on this council, 8 months ago, I said, we need to start leading for our people here on the Rosebud. So we sure already had that plan in place, with SWA, whether it's wind energy, whether it's solar energy, anything. We should already have a plan in place too, because there should be a think tank that we have here on the Rosebud to say, hey, what about this? What about that? So those are what I'm shooting for all the time too. So that's one of my favorite things that we could probably get involved in, I guess. So, but right now, those are what I'm hoping that this comes to play, and it's not just let's go. So, but anyway, thank you guys very much for coming.
Thank you, Councilman, for sharing those words. And I come from one of the same communities that I've seen parachute in type of projects come and go. And what I mean by parachute in is exactly what you're explaining. Is people would come in, build a project, leave, but don't have time to build that capacity within your tribal nation. And that's also a big part of our work at Indigenized Energy, is to do that. And David can kind of explain a little bit more on some of the things that we've done, but we even partner with tribal colleges on this sort of thing. We also know that as we build all this infrastructure of solar, we need certified people to understand what's being put there. So that even comes down to working at tribal colleges, which we're doing now as well. We just had a great visit at Siston Wapton Sioux tribe up there. And, I recommended to them, like I'm going to recommend to you now and every other tribe that I visit, if there's no master plan, because we're just creating a plan for SFA with Solar for All, residential solar in a program. But what about a plan for your whole tribe, your tribal casino, each community, your council chamber buildings, your school facilities? A master plan on what renewable energy and energy sovereignty looks like for your community, because there's so much opportunity and money that's available out there. If you guys had a really holistic plan that we can support you with, we can help you with that as well. You're going to be able to capture a lot more of those dollars even more faster, because there's a lot of opportunity out there. I would say, really, this is the Wild West of renewable energy right now. There's a lot of funding available, and Redco and SWA can attest to that, because they see it, all those opportunities out there. So, I just encourage you guys as tribal leadership to look at maybe asking questions within your guys' tribe there on how can we do a master plan. Even beyond SFA and with the program that we're going to be providing for you. But on top of that, like I said, workforce is really the most important thing to me, being capacity building, because I so am too tired of parachute-in type of projects. I've dealt with that in my community too. I think all tribal reservations have dealt with that and left us with really, like I said earlier, a black eye, or our community not really wanting that no more, because they've seen the bad effects of us not being able to take care of it and not trusting in it no more. So I agree with you. Our communities are not going to trust this process. And I always say this too, I'll see it when I believe it, right? And that's really what I want to do here at Indigenized Energy, is prove more examples in this great northern plains. That's where energy, I feel, is needed the most, because of our horrific winters we have, and people dying of exposure to cold in the winter in our homes. It's happened on my reservation even last winter, where we had a couple deaths like that, because the utility would shut off the power on our enrolled members, and then they'd freeze to death in their home. So, I definitely know the magnitude and understanding around how important this work is. It's not, to me, just another project. It's me a lifestyle, in a way that we really need to empower ourselves, empower our tribes, bring in the right resources into our tribal communities to make sure that they respect our ways of life, and making sure that they're doing the plans that see fit for our people on our reservations and where we come from. And that's really the big thing for Indigenized Energy, as we make national partnerships out there with different other great organizations. we want to bring those right resources in and not the wrong ones. And that's a really important piece to me as well, to making sure that we do that here, Indigenized Energy. But I'm not sure if David wants to piggyback on that, but we do partner with a lot of tribal colleges as well. Leander Russ McDonald from the United Tribes Technical College is part of our advisory board that helps us support with tribal colleges as we move forward to understand that workforce development as we lay out all these projects within a lot of these Northern Plains tribes. So thanks. Hopefully I didn't get too long-winded in that, but thanks.
It's okay.
Hello, Cody. Right on. Good to see you from Cannonball. Good friends with all the Thunderhawks. So.
Oh, that's my relations. Yeah. Yep.
I just have a couple questions. You guys kind of covering all the bases, but one thing that kind of just raises my eyebrows is that the main people that are heading this, the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara Nation, are the leading extractors of fossil fuels. You know, they're the biggest people. They're the biggest tribe that takes out. So that kind of like makes me think about where their heart is, because we know it's with Mazca. And, you know, here today, it's shut-off day on our reservation for electricity. Right now, in about 20 minutes, they're going to start shutting us off. And so it's also EBT day. So a lot of our people have to sell their EBT just so they could pay that light bill. Now, I have a friend that works for a solar energy company in the customer service, and she has to deliver a lot of bad news to people because of installation issues. And, you know, that's something that you guys have been talking about majorly, installation. And so that's something that, you know, I want to hear a little bit more on, because, you know, we've got a lot of parachutes, like you say, you know, they're hanging in all the trees. You just got to cruise the reservation. And, you know, so with solar, and you got to think of the solar panels, you know, the energy beds that are coming. You got to think about the land that's going to be on there. You got to think of all these people. Is their roof compatible? Do we have money to be doing this stuff? You know what I mean? And I know that you're covering a lot of these bases, but you got to think about 20 years from now. Is the Sichongu Oyates, you know, we might be even bigger than 30,000 then, you know? And if we're having issues right now with solar panels, with wind energy, you know, where are we going to be then without that education? So I really want to commend you guys for doing your homework. But that installation part for me is one. The materials, it's a very expensive area that we're going into. When it comes into solar, you know, we're depending on our father's son for that. So it's like, if we're on days where it's cloudy, look at our winter we just had. We hardly even seen the sun, you know, so those are going to be low producing days for the Oyate. And then it's going to get dark, even more Osni. So it's like, you know, there's a lot of different factors that we have to think of, and we have to ask Unchimaka for a little guidance, because we don't know her. You know, we get people on the weather, meteorologists, Hurricane Barrow, they give these weather characterizations names, and it gives it more power to destruct us as Oyate that have to live on Turtle Island. So it's like, when are we going to think of from the land up, not the pocket? You know what I mean? And so $136 million, that's a big pot. And MHA, they're billionaires already in the extraction business, you know? So that just kind of is contradictory to me, because it's like, okay, you guys are the main ones hurting our earth, but yet now you're trying to save it? Like, okay. But, I mean, it's a good thing. Solar energy is needed. I'm glad that you guys have come here. I'm glad that you guys have taken it upon yourself to even develop a resolution, you know, with our housing authority. And I just think that with that installation, you know, she said she delivers very bad news, you know, and these people are paying, these are homeowners that are paying out of their own pocket, not the tribe paying for it. So it's like, you know, we're already a devastated nation. What more can you tell us that's bad? You know what I mean? So I guess I just need a little bit more of you guys to maybe give us some homework to do as tribal council on what we can, you know, we're not, I would like to know more, because when it comes to green energy, although it sounds very chill, it's not really in my book. So that's just my thoughts. But Kuramaya, thank you for coming. Taya, here.
Yeah, thanks for those comments, Councilwoman. And I will say this is, I think the difference of, when you're a person that that delivers bad news to your homeowners about maintenance and things they got to fix, it's because that responsibility lies on the homeowner to figure that out. The difference that what we're trying to create here is we're creating a program. We're not going to rely on the homeowners to do the O&M and fix those and make sure that it comes out of their pocket. It's that revolving fund, that shared costs of these savings that's going to generate that revolving fund that's going to take care of those, the O&M and things that do go wrong. So I think the difference there is, as we create this program, it's not going to allow the homeowner to figure out, well, where am I going to get the money to fix this? So really, there's not going to be any bad news as far as that aspect of it goes, because when something does go wrong or needs to be fixed, it's going to be funded by the actual program of the project, which would continue to maintain and sustain what's being created there. So I think that's kind of the difference there. And I know it's kind of new to every tribe, but that's why when we say develop a plan and a program that's going to take care of those issues, so then people like that don't have to go to the homeowners and say, oh, I got bad news for you. You gotta fix your solar because it's broken or whatever may have happened, or your inverter needs to get in place. But one thing I'll share with you, just from my experience of multiple different tribes that I had come across all over the United States, is that solar energy now is the cheapest form of energy anywhere in the world. And why I say that is because, every day technology is getting better. And every day solar energy is becoming more cheaper and more viable in communities like ours. I've heard projects of you guys saying wind turbines. I mean, I think wind is great, but I would never put a wind project in a community that doesn't even understand it yet. That's where really the wrongdoing happened, is as we deploy projects in your communities, we want to make sure you guys understand what's being put there. Because if they just continue to put, like in my reservation in Standing Rock, just give an example. There's a big pipe dream there of having a big wind farm that's going to generate money for our tribe and all of that. But my approach is, like you said, the bottom up. I want to start pilot projects, understandings on teaching our community how exactly these things work before we start to deploy hundreds of these things. Right? We want our communities to feel confident in the direction that they're going. And I think that's when, as we develop this plan within the SFA, that's what we want to do. We want to walk side by side with your tribe to making sure, as we deploy these things, that you guys feel comfortable with what's happening. And if not, we can slow down a little bit to make you guys really understand that process too. So that's the difference, I think, on really the examples there, Councilwoman, of what you shared versus what we're trying to do. Is we're doing this at a program level. So the responsibility is really going to rely on people that are managing the program and making sure that revolving fund and that shared savings that's going to be developed in your community, it's going to take care of those problems. And we don't want that burden to lie on the people that are actually in those homes that can barely pay their electricity bill to begin with. So, I'm not sure if I came across that 100% the way I think, you needed to hear that, but I just wanted to make sure I'm stressing to you that, we're going to do our very best to make sure that your tribe understands this process as we move forward.
I want to respond to a couple things as well. I had the same questions about MHA Nation before I got to know them, and they're up in Cody's neck of the woods, and we learned some interesting things. One of them is other mining and drilling people were drilling under their land to get to that oil. They said if someone else is taking it, we might take it instead. And I thought that was interesting. Also, as we've gotten to know Chairman Fox, he has been a proponent for diversity. They are starting a hydrogen program which is a much cleaner form of using fossil fuels and even translating solar power into hydrogen for a hydrogen economy. And he was all for this project, and even that because of their financial savvy and their accounting ability, that they could help manage this on behalf of tribes. And I think that those are important questions to ask. But we have a sense of MHA Nation understanding energy transition. And potentially, it's also a big statement for a tribe with that history to make this shift.
Yeah.
So really good question. I had the same question. The other thing I want to tell you is we keep saying, oh, the O&M, yeah, we're thinking about that. I want to tell you just a little story about why we think this is different. And also because of some of the partnerships that we formed to help get this done, a project of this scale. There are no solar contractors in this community that are ready to build 100 solar systems. And in some communities there are that they're learning and they can grow. But one of our strategies is to partner with big national firms for manufacturing, to make sure things get fixed and that we have good technology. I bought one of those wind turbines too. When I came into town, like, oh, I have one of those. Fingers crossed that it still works because that company doesn't exist anymore. So yeah. I totally get it. Working with little companies, we want to buy from the best. Tesla, the proven technologies with the biggest manufacturers. The company that we worked with in Northern Cheyenne to build the first 15 and then now 50 more, Freedom Forever, largest residential solar installer. They came to that community with just a few people. We hired 11 people in the community to come out and learn. They said on the first couple projects, they're going to slow down and just teach the people that we invited from the Northern Cheyenne community. 11 people came to those first projects. Within a week and a half, all 11 people were offered jobs by the contractor. 8 of them accepted those jobs, and they built the rest of the project. So Freedom Forever didn't need to fly people in and put them in hotels. They were able to create a workforce right there in the community because they had jobs to offer. When they finished those first 15, while we don't have more money, more projects to keep you working, we have projects in other places. They offered jobs to everybody if they were willing to travel to keep working. 6 of them said yes. And a couple of them have now returned to the community to build more, having built many systems, and that's the one Cody was talking about. One of those individuals is able to go out and troubleshoot and fix systems now. So I just wanted to tell that story about the reality of how you can build that local workforce that understands the solar and can see a problem, a squirrel chewed a wire, or an inverter is giving the wrong signal. Someone who knows enough about them to just get these things fixed. So I wanted to tell that story because we do have real plans and examples of how to build that local workforce, how can build them, but also maintain them. Maybe they work for utilities or the housing authority because they go out to homes and fix things all the time, and now they learn to fix the other things. That's really important, but I wanted to share those 2 examples because it's really good questions. So thank you for your time.
And we have Emily, Chris, Ben, and Stan.
Oh boy.
Sorry, thank you again. Luckily, you guys are doing a really excellent presentation today and answering a lot of my questions. I just kind of wanted to highlight some of them, so I'm going to sit down, if that's okay, so I can read my notes. But the main thing that I just wanted to focus on is that, or I guess the first question I have is, it sounds like there's a lot of built-in flexibility for us as tribes, because as we've all known, we need to do some assessments, we need to do some planning, but there's also immediate needs. And so how can we balance moving forward with progression, knowing that we still have to do some baseline assessments, we still have to do that, and then I think I even heard Cody say something about pilot projects. That was literally in my notes as far as how can we also take advantage of this opportunity for us, because as Indigenous people, we were always adapting with the changes of our environment, with the changes of society, whatever. And we kind of stopped doing that. So if there's a way that we can build in not only the sustainability, but the adaptability into that, because a lot of times we don't get research in our communities. And so because we don't have research coming from our nations, we can't affect change, we can't affect policy without that. So I'm just thinking, like, how can we, or maybe you have some examples already existing, how can we show our people that there are examples out there, but that's not the only example? Because what also happens sometimes with solar is you get locked into certain things and then next year technology changes or something like that and it's outdated or too old. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, we have homes, like you said, that we could fix a roof and put panels on. We have homes that you could probably see through all the walls and they need new homes. And so we really need to be able to identify small scale community type builds versus home builds versus, all that diversification. And I'm just like, that's my dream big. That's my perfect world. You know what I mean? But reality is over here. So I'm just wondering if you guys can provide us in the meantime some examples of like maybe grassroots things or maybe some methods or some models about what types of structures could work to get the education piece out, to get the workforce development capacity built up, you know, to get all these things, to get the planning even out there. Because I'm telling you, you're saying all the right things, but then reality is kind of fighting in my head right now. And so I just wanted to make sure that we have that balance between, you know, batteries. As soon as I hear batteries, I hear desecration of our Black Hills because they are illegally mining lithium for these batteries. So again, how can we move forward knowing that there has to be a give and take, but also helping us reconnect and reestablish those connections to our land, connections to our Lakota identity, about that give and take relationship? Because right now, humans are just bad to the earth, you know what I mean? But previously, we had a relationship with the earth that we helped it and we were part of it. So how can this move us forward to that? And I also just want to thank you for taking out the biggest hindrance sometimes that I see is finding the money. And then we're always only focusing on how to keep the money. And so this is also kind of like taking that part out of it for us so we can focus on the work, but then now we are here with this big old workload. So sorry, I don't know if I had a question in there, but I just want to thank you guys again.
Well, I think one of the things that we hold close is that every community has unique situations. And that's why I like the adaptability of this grant, that you can make a plan, also has money for a plan. And I hear you like, there should be a plan. It was kind of a chicken and an egg. The Department of Energy, they want the whole thing designed. You have to spend 50 grand just to submit a grant to the Department of Energy. The EPA was like, no, they're going to need time to figure out what's right for them. So that's part of that balance. I think the other thing is the EPA is going to want to know how much money you save, how much greenhouse gas you save. So we're going to have to be paying attention to what's working and what's not, and adapt and learn and see these are good strategies. This technology is not welcome. It doesn't fit on homes, or maybe we learn about a battery that was sounding good and now it's not. We're going to do our best, but it's a very good mindset to hold of adaptability as technology changes, as we learn things, as we learn what people like. Those heating systems, the radiant heating systems up here. Replacing them with some much more efficient things, but believe it when you see it. And one of the things that we've learned is, in addition to starting with elders, start with storytellers. Elsie Wieselbear got the first solar system from the Northern Cheyenne community. She worked in the tribal building for years. She started taking her electric bill across the street to the tribal building. Look at this, to the council meetings. Look at this, my electric bill's down to almost nothing because of solar. So learning the things that work, sharing the things that work, is going to be part of making this work. So thank you for that.
Thank you. And I just want to say, you know, the lithium side of it is a real issue with batteries. And it's really, that's why it's really an open option for your tribe to say, well, we don't want any batteries incorporated with anything that we do here in Rosebud. So the batteries are there for you to utilize if you want, but if you don't want them, that's okay too, because everything's going right off the top of the meter that's saving it right into residential homes. You know what I mean? But I'll just say this, as far as the extraction point of everything that's going on around us, I know the realistic truth behind that is, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to stop extraction anytime soon. You still drive, you know, oil, gas vehicles outside there, your tribal office. But the biggest, really, I would say the biggest problem with lithium right now is these little things right here. Cell phones, and we utilize those every single day, right? And that's lithium inside those, and we still utilize those every day. So I'm just saying in general, Biden just released, I just read something that Biden released, I think it was $40 million to help combat that lithium problem of utilizing and recycling batteries moving forward. So then we don't have to keep having to mine every single time. But we do know as the technology evolves and technology grows, that landscape could change in the next 5 years. Maybe we don't need to rely on as much as lithium, and there's other resourceful ways on bringing, you know, battery backup and different types of things into our homes, you know, as we move forward. So I just want to make sure it's really clear to everyone that I thought the same thing. You know, the realistic reality is extraction is not going to stop anytime soon, but what can we do today to really start to minimize that extraction? right, and move away slowly from fossil fuels? Are we just gonna, are we gonna wait for technology to completely be ready for us to do that, or can we start to transition to that way now and start moving forward and using less and less of it every single day? And that's kind of the thing that I really want tribes to really understand and know, is that I want tribes to move in that direction of starting to have to use less fossil fuels every single day, knowing that there's not really a perfect technology out there that's been developed. But I can probably tell you it's probably going to happen at some point in time, just not anytime like soon. But really, what are we doing today to minimize that is really the thing that I want, us to push forward with. So thanks.
We have Chris, Ben, and Stan. I think we need to call for the question.
I don't know. I'll keep it short. I want to thank you guys for coming today. It's very cost efficient. We have 6 panels up in a house that's, I want to say, was built in the early 1900s, and never had power, never had water, but we put 6 panels up on it. Of course, one panel only radiates about 6 gigawatts worth of energy, so you have to have multiple to power up a good bedroom, and that's what we have now in that house. It's been free this whole time. The thing that costs the most is probably the subscription to the streaming services that we have. Anyways, I have some concerns too, but colleague Ms. I here addressed some of them too. The big ones that I was thinking about too with Mandan or with the 3 affiliated, but it's good knowing that they want to, in a sense, right or wrong and going forward with this. So I see that too, and it's very educational. The family that helped us put this up gave us a crash course on how to maintain it, and it's been about 2 years since we've had it now, and we have no hiccups with it, But if there is one, they're only a call away. And with you guys, I'm willing to bet you guys are probably going to be the exact same way, when it comes to the educational purpose. Because once you get it, it's like riding a bike, really, because it's real simple. So I just want to say thank you, Emily, thank you, Dara, thank you all you guys to have these questions, because from a younger generation, it's free energy, and it has been working for the last. It survived countless storms, it survived countless windstorms, thunderstorms, winter storms, and just imagine that one day you wake up and your house is lit up without the effects of fossil fuels. But I just want to say thank you guys.
Ben?
I just want to reiterate that. I'm going to keep it short. Same thing with Emily. I know I spoke before, but the educational piece. I know we've gone to other reservations, anything like that, but we do need to put it out to our people. So I'm wondering if we can get something like that from you guys to be able to put it out to our communities, stream it on our radio station, also on our channel 93. So that way we're kind of aware of what's going to happen. And that's kind of what I always think. Every time we bring something new, I always want to make sure that our people are aware of it, because we just don't want to throw it at them and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to push this forward. And I'm always kind of concerned too, is when we pick places to be, I guess, subject for it, I guess. I mean, I don't know. So I just kind of make sure that everybody's understanding of it too. So the educational piece is one of the big things that I want to make sure I get out to the people, so that way they're aware of it, what's going to happen, or what they want to see or hear, or what's happening when we bring in this solar panel type stuff. I know it's already out here. Maybe some people already know about it, but just reiterate it. So I'm just asking if we can get some kind of educational piece on it. But thank you.
Dan, yeah. Question, comment?
I just wanted to comment. I represent one of the outlying communities, and the solar energy is going to be a plus for our area as well as others. In the winter months, our homes out there, about 90% of them are heated by wood stoves. So something like this would really be a plus. By trade, I'm an electrician, and I was an electrician for SME for about like 8 years. And I just wanted to follow up on a comment made by Gary. He said something about co-heaters, they don't hold enough heat, which is true, because the heat stays up on. But the main reason for that is kind of like a renovation of the home. Your home has to be well adequately insulated. Your windows, your doors, no matter what type of heating system that you put in. But I am all for this. I just want to give you my support. Thank you.
And Jordan?
If you're an electrician, well, I want to talk. We need more electricians.
Jordan, call for the question. We need to vote on it. All in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Opposed?
0.
Not voting?
0.
Motion carried. Go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have, also have, Sarah Reynolds here too, and she wants to talk about the ICBG grant and that we're gonna do with the housing, so if you stick around just for a little bit, a few more minutes, and, Dave, I'll give you a chance to go around and shake everybody's hand. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Great to meet you.
Let's have Sarah come up next. She's talking about the ICBG grant. She needs the housing here to be able to do that, so.
Good morning, council. Thank you for taking the time to add me in real quick. I was on leave a few weeks back when you guys selected the ICBG project. So there were some things that were left out of the resolution that are critical and being provided some information, specifically regarding the map. So she's passing out the resolution now. I apologize, you can't see the highlighted areas, but they're in a light gray. You should be able to look. But the things I'm proposing to reconsider and amend resolution 2024-166. Specifically to change some dollar amounts that were identified in there. Previously it was identified $5 million, but for our region, the ceiling limit is only $2 million. So I had to make those changes in the resolution. I changed the project type of the solid waste program project. I have Sean in the room and Monica here. We've been having meetings on the development of this grant project. And initially, I think Sean was under the impression that we could just do a quick and only grant. And that's what he came with initially, and we had contacted HUD, and HUD said, no, it must be tied to a construction project. So we looked at the landfill expansion that Sean has going to be happening soon with IHS and thought about using that as the leverage resource to complete the project. But IHS has informed us that they will be unable to get us the documentation in time for application. So we had to kind of look at different options on what solid waste could potentially do. And Sean has come to the conclusion that he will do a renovation and expansion project out to the transfer facility out here outside of Rosebud here. So we're looking at renovating the transfer station and doing an expansion out to the site out there, adding office space, showers. I'm going to explain a little bit about what you wanted to do.
Yeah, so kind of what I was planning to do, and I mentioned this to a few of you in Land and Natural, is we want to put showers, locker rooms, kind of an eating area for the guys. So that way when they get done with shift, they can shower, they don't have to take them dirty clothes and stuff. It's a little more sanitary for the guys. That we're looking to possibly move the office out of Rosebud and have it out there at the transfer station, so that way everything is condensed into one area. And it'll be a little bit better for us, so we can keep track of who's coming in and out of the transfer station. Because eventually we want to try to do some recycling, taking used oil, batteries, and it's just easier for us if we have eyes on it if we're there all the time.
So We worked really hard to come up with this really quick, but, so the way the grant is going to be submitted is SWA will maintain $400,000 for administrative costs. We'll spend approximately $600,000 on the construction. We're looking at possibly purchasing a modular facility to place on site out there that has everything that he is requesting. And that's just to kind of keep solid waste operations going, because if we start to do a construction project out there, the architect we're working with has said that will, halt some operations of the solid waste department. So we want to try to avoid that. And so we're looking at purchasing a modular. One of the things that, or the main thing that's going to impact this, because then he'll have $1 million for his equipment. He can purchase the fire trucks, the trash trucks and everything that he needs to be able to operate the solid waste department. To apply for HUD, they do not require a match, but you get 3 points if you can provide up to 25% match. Monica and I have been through this many times, and one time, you only need 70 to be fundable. One time he scored a 92, and we weren't fundable because the way HUD does it is they start from the top, the highest scoring, and they work their way down until they run out of money. We had a 92, we were unfundable. And so Monica and I sat down and they redid all the math on our scoring sheet, and HUD had made an error. They gave us 1 more point that year, and that made us fundable. That's the only reason why, because they contested the results of the review, and it gave us 1 more point, and that put us in their funding level. So that's why it's really important with this ICBG that I'm trying to capture every single point that's available for this grant. So that's 3 points. Right off the bat, we're losing 5 points because we only have 75% LMI here. That takes us from 10 points down to 5 under 1 rating factor. And that, and that plus if we miss the leverage resources, that puts us back down to 92. And we already know that previously up to 92, even though it's a fundable score, we weren't funded. So it's really critical that we're trying to get every single point that we can. And so the discussion on leverage resources is a huge one, and that's what was omitted from this grant, from this resolution. That's why I'm here. There was never a match identified in where it was going to come from in this resolution. That discussion did not occur when you guys made your selection. And it would have if I was here, so I'm sorry for not being here. So we were looking at different alternatives that we could choose to meet that match. SWA did offer to use some of its ICBG funds, formula grant funds that they received from HUD. But HUD said because solid waste was not in their annual housing plan, that they were unable to use their funds to match this grant. So I just spent the morning talking with HUD about different alternatives that we could do to meet this match. And it kept coming back to, because we tried to do administrative costs with an in-kind to SWA, but because it's not in their housing plan, we can't match their salaries to this grant. So it comes back to the tribe. And I talked to Lori, and she's my contact with HUD, and she says that the tribe, if we want those points, the tribe is going to have to contribute something from program income, revenue, somewhere. And so if you look at this resolution, I have identified $220,000 as a hard cash match from this tribe to this grant. If you guys want those 3 points and put us in a better position, I would recommend that the tribe kind of consider making an allocation. So you got we're going to submit for a 2-year project period. That gives the tribe next year, we can come back at the budgeting time and hopefully get an allocation for $220,000, which will go towards the purchase of 1 garbage truck. And that will be the match to this grant, because if the tribe could commit to purchasing 1 garbage truck within the next 2 years. And so that's what this resolution is before you guys, and for you to consider. If you guys choose not to make the allocation, then we'll just take the whole match language out and submit it and cross our fingers and hope we can get funded.
Okay, I need somebody to bring it on to reconsider and amend. Who's the housing rep? But, Lee, you want to do that?
Sure.
Motion to reconsider and amend? And we're adding language of a match in there of 220,000. We haven't found where it's coming from, but we're gonna commit to it. That's what, if we approve it. So, I need a second. Wayne? Is there any more discussion?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Emily.
I guess whenever it was voted on, I just assumed that the solid waste department was gonna be getting, like, or needed the funds for the whatever was going out there. So is that still going forward, that there's no funding, there's no other resources that are gonna be needed? Because in my mind, that was what made it kind of vote to the top as being the biggest need, is because we were out of room at our landfill. And I understand equipment is needed also, but if that's not being met in this, then how is it being met?
So that is still, I talked to James Fagan with IHS, and he did tell me that the landfill expansion is a go. What he was proposing to go in with this was the equipment only for the tractors, bulldozers, everything to maintain that new landfill site. But because we couldn't get the documentation from IHS in time for application, we can't go with that construction project.
But it's still gonna happen regardless.
Yeah, it's still gonna happen.
Funded and has
So
resources.
his request with that project specifically on the expansion was the equipment only for all the machinery he was gonna need to maintain that new cell.
Okay, I guess I was just misunderstanding that. Okay.
And we are currently working on building the temporary cell. We just got some machines back from the shop. We haven't got any money from rural development, so we're doing it out of revenue until we do get the engineering and stuff from rural development.
So that's the reason why Sean can't afford to use his revenue to meet the match, because he's paying other loan payments and things and doesn't have the resource necessary.
So normally in other resolutions, we list where funds come from. Do we have to list that in this resolution?
Yes. It doesn't not necessarily that where it's gonna come from, just the fact that it's gonna be a hard cash match from the tribe. Doesn't have to say where the funds are gonna come from. I know you guys will probably
Just
have
so
to
you
do
can
that.
look.
If the grant is awarded, Sean will have to come back and work with budget and finance to make sure this allocation is made by the end of the project period.
I just thought it was like a tribal procurement process that we had to have that listed in the resolution for finance to even process it.
Probably if the grant, when the grant's awarded, they'll have to identify that funding source at that time, but that's contingent upon award.
So declare that you're committing.
Yeah, that we will make, that Ezra can make this hard cash match if the grant is made to the tribe will make that match.
Yeah, that would be to purchase a.
And it's 220 a year?
Just to one $220,000.
This due in 5 days.
This is due on the 15th.
Yeah.
Now,
Monica, go ahead.
then in that grant, why it's under SWA, because we already have 5 grants, all our reportings are up, all our ACER reports are up, they're all clean, they're clear under ICBG, and so our job is to help him so that we keep moving that project if you get approved. So he ain't just left, or anybody's just left hanging up here. So we done enough of that.
Yes.
Do you want me to read all of it or just the changes?
Just the changes, you can.
Okay,
consider
this
them.
one is fine.
I think you can kind of go over it, but just for the record, you got to read the amendment, so.
For the record, resolution number 2024-166, 1, 2, 3, 4th whereas. The change will now read, I'm just going to read the whole thing. The Department of Housing and Urban Development has issued a grant notice for a community development block grant program for Indian tribes and Alaska Native villages, CFDA number 14.862, with an award ceiling of the change is $2 million and a closing date for applications is July 15th, 2024. On the next page, there's a change underneath the last bullet where it says solid waste project. The change now reads renovation and expansion of transfer station and solid waste equipment for $2 million. If you skip the next whereas and go to the next one, the last whereas, there is another change. The Sichongo Wichori Wayan Kapi Corporation will serve as a primary grantee on behalf of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe and shall maintain fiduciary responsibility of up to 20% in administrative costs of federal grants. So it looks like the change is the up to part. Okay.
And that's just, if I can just weigh in on that, it's just because depending on how the project shakes out, the cost, SWA can slide their fee down or up based off the need. So if we're coming in over budget on the construction, SWA has been known to drop their request to 15% or whatever, so that's why I put up to 20%.
Thank you. I did have that question originally on the other one, so thank you for that clarification. Okay, and then the next, therefore be it resolved, there is a change in the amount of $2 million with the Rosebud Sioux Tribe committing to leveraging resources in the amount of $220,000 in the form of a hard cash match to be submitted by July 15, 2024. And those are the changes to the resolution.
Okay, any more questions? Wayne, calling for questions? Okay.
1 second.
Section. Okay, Lisa.
Oh, I just had a question.
Go ahead.
Where are we getting the 200, the cash match from?
That's the good.
So right now, the thing is that we're at application stage right now. This is saying that if awarded, the tribe will look at its resources and see where we can come up with $220,000 to make this match. It says hard cash match, but what it equates to is the purchase of 1 garbage truck.
Okay, so we don't need that by July 15th.
No, you.
Okay.
The match will be needed by the end of the 2-year project period.
Okay.
I guess I had that question too, because I thought it said July 15th. Yeah, thanks for clarifying.
A hard cash match to be submitted by July 15th.
So do we need to strike that from there?
Yeah, you can, pick up.
That's our
To submitted by July 15th. Yeah, you can take that part out. To submitted by July 15th.
And it's in that last, therefore be it resolved. Because this one talks about the application deadline. I think that was fine. But this one just makes it sound like we have to pay that 220 by that date. So as stricken. Okay.
But thank you, because 220 and we get $2 million for them, geez, that'd be awesome.
Use other grant funds to match?
So you can use, but does allow the use of other federal sources to meet their match requirements, but we couldn't identify anything that was like that would contribute to this project at this time.
We have a grant application in, that's being considered for electric garbage.
That would suffice. We can use that. So if that grant is awarded, that electrification, we can take that purchase and that would be the match.
Why is the garbage truck around?
That was good.
Mike, go ahead.
No, I was,
Question?
yeah.
Okay. Call for the question. All in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Opposed?
0.
Not voting.
1.
Motion carried. Thank you guys.
Sorry.
Yeah. 10 minutes, we'll listen to Pete, and then we'll take a lunch break after that. So let's take 10. After break.
house. Okay? Middle road is basically somebody there trying to help others, but the high road is putting other people in front of you and using generosity, compassion, courage, and all of that to lead with. And I think that's really important as a leader, is to be able to put our values into leadership too. And that's what I love about this book. It talks a lot about our values in there. And you'll gain valuable skills such as, like I said, generosity, courage, resiliency, emotional intelligence, and compassion, and much more. There's 12 lessons in this book that I'd go through with them to work with them through a process of a worksheet that we'll meet every 2 weeks on. So I am certified with John Maxwell, who's a world-renowned leader in leadership. He's been invited into 22 countries, keyword there, invited into 22 countries to help change the leadership in that country. Okay? I'm certified with him as a coach, trainer, and public speaker. Okay? And this, when he wrote this book, I read this book, and I've read this book about 5 times now. And every time I read it, I get through a chapter, I sit there and I look at it and say, okay, how can we implement this type of training within our indigenous culture and our indigenous people in our really important places? So that's why I'm proposing this to the directors. Okay? I know everybody says, well, I've already taken leadership, I've already done leadership, but you're never wrong going through more leadership training. Different types of leadership training is always good because it opens your eyes to a different perspective on leadership and be able to lead. So this is a good training that can help people lead from a high road leadership. And I think as directors, a lot of times I've seen this in so many businesses and companies that I've worked in, is they get into this position as a director and they start directing. Okay? It's so easy to get into a management position, a director position, and start directing. But the most successful companies in the world, in those positions as directors and managers, they are leaders first, not directors. And that's what the most biggest thing is lead with the values that we have here. Lead with our Paul code of virtues. Put that in your leadership. That would be so much awesome. I mean, they're there for a reason. All of them, I look at our virtues right there, and I see every one of them in a leadership position. Okay. Basically, you got to learn all 11 of them to have that knowledge and that action to get that wisdom, right? Wisdom is knowledge, action, applied. That's pretty good. Knowledge of all the 11, all the action, and apply it. That's when you gain wisdom from it. Really cool when I learned that a long time ago, and I really go by it. So that's what I'm proposing to you guys today for the leadership training. And what it's going to be is a 6-month-long training, and there's a reason why I do it as a 6-month-long training, because I know the directors are very busy. This way, we meet every other Tuesday. We'll start on the 2nd Tuesday of the month and the 4th Tuesday, but it gives them time to read the chapter, get them time to do the worksheet, and I'm going to add something in there to have them report back to me each time we meet with how they applied this into their program. And I think that's really important, because what that creates is accountability for them, and start seeing things being implemented in the program that could change programs, right? How many times have you been in a program with a leader, or been working with somebody as a leader, and they say, hey, we need to change the morale here? How many times have you heard that? Somebody said, hey, we need to change the morale here. A lot of times when I hear that, I look at the leader and I was like, okay, where does the morale start from? The top, right? And come down. And then that's what this course is going to help people do, is use these skills and techniques that we're going to teach that I explained here to get them to change that morale of their program. Okay? One of the greatest things I remember reading, and I took it, and I love it. People don't quit their jobs. They quit the leadership. Right? They don't quit their job, they quit their leaders. And it's important. That's why leadership is so important for people to learn. Okay? And I know a lot of times, I've been around working in a lot of places, and a lot of times people don't go out there and get training as a leader. They wait until they get into that position as a leader and say, okay, I need leadership training. Okay. Well, you're already way behind, right? You're not going to be able to win over the people with influence to help them lead. So yeah, it's going to be 6 months, every 2 weeks, and all the sessions are going to be recorded on Zoom. So if somebody isn't able to make it there for a family emergency, or if they had to go somewhere for another training, we'll have it recorded, but then I would like to have them watch that recording and then report back to me on that recording if I know they're going through the process of the training and learning from it also.
Go ahead and have Lisa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Pete, for coming. Council, we had him come and he's been to personnel and brought this information to us. Excuse me. And he came a few times, you know, we talked about it and, you know, we discussed it and we made motion to forward it to council for approval. The reason being, besides looking at, you know, dollar amounts and everything, we've supported this because, you know, we need to get our mindset going in a different way. We need to start, you know, to me, getting out of the negativity, and we need to start doing our work in the most effective and positive way we can. Scott's aware of it. He talked with Pete, and I myself was in some training with him at TLE, and it was really good. And I know that SNETP, Lori Bordo, their program went through the training, but you know, it's healthy and it builds us, you know. And like I said, you know, we should be 3 months ahead at least in our planning, in our goals, and not be scattered, you know, not be, you know, all over the place here. So we got to start somewhere. And, you know, we have us new council that come in and, you know, we have elections coming, but we talked about this and we want to offer through personnel committee, you know, the committee, we want to bring this wellness to our people. We want to bring it to our employees. We want to bring it to our leadership here. And it's very important that, you know, it's hard for me to ask for help. It's hard for lots of the people, you know, to say, hey, you know what, I don't know that, or, you know, I'm not sure. You know, a long time ago we weren't that way, but today it shouldn't be an issue to ask for help. And Pete, the native person, and, you know, I know that his coaching is really well, and it helps you build yourself as an individual. It helps you look at yourself and how we're going to lead our people. And, you know, along with this, I was talking about this as the next, you know, we got to do things in phases. So the next phase, along with this, we can bring in Victor DeVille. We can, you know, accommodate it, give it balance, and help us, you know, become more effective and positive and move forward. You know, I myself, I hate Facebook. God, it's drama. That's not my world. So, you know, we got to give options to our employees and our leadership. So, you know, that's my part on personnel committee, being the chair there. I'd like to make a motion to accept this consulting contract for Pete.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Any second? Lisa?
I just had a words too. I'll go ahead and second it. What's the total amount of the $18,060? Out of LETC fund? I don't, when I was on the TLE board, and I'm glad Cleve's here, but Pete did some leadership training for our staff over there, and he addressed issues that needed to be addressed. And like Pete said, we all, say that we had leadership training, but I think that needs to be refreshed from time to time. But he did do a good job with TLE staff, and I don't know if you've had any problems or had some improvements over there. So I'll go ahead and second that motion if you amend it to take it out of LE.
Sure. Motion to accept the, Pete's coaching and consulting contract and the funds to be taken out of LATC.
Okay, and second by Lisa. Is there any more questions or discussion? Chris and Ben?
Thank you for coming. You look really important. I like that. Anyways, so this would be for the directors. Would it be possible to add on administration and council too for that? Because I think that's something that we desperately need to, just a reminder of it, because I'm pretty sure we're all great leaders in our own way, but sometimes when we come here, that always brings a little bit of conflict. And so maybe if you could add us on there too.
Yeah, that's eventually what the plan.
Yeah.
Is to have it available to us, and it would start here, right? That was what we were kind of.
Yeah, what we kind of talked about was doing the directors and then after the election.
After the directors.
Yeah, after the directors and then after the election, have the council go through.
Yeah, because by then there'll be, new faces or whoever comes back.
And this contract will go until the second Tuesday of January 2025. But yeah, the whole plan was to do something with the council too.
Yeah, because I feel like you got to start leading by example. So yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Ben, go ahead.
Yes, thank you for coming too. It's up to me. I know I mentioned on one of the SU place there, which is good. But not only are we, I think we should be looking at this also, but also our younger generation. So I think that student council or one of them, or that what they called the council, or the youth,
Strong Youth Council.
Yeah, youth, yeah, them. I think they should be involved in this also too, because they're going to be molding these younger leaders. So that would be something that they should, they should be part of also. So not leaving them out. I mean, again, too, it's going to be kind of maybe hard to keep their attention on it, but again, it's something that they need to look at. Because again, if they're going to be sitting here, either places here, they need to have that leadership quality also too. So I do recommend that we put that in there also too. Or something like that in there. So
We discussed that, and he has this, while he
I
goes
have
back to the community as well.
Yeah, so I like to get back to, one of the things I am actually doing when you're talking about that, I'm actually putting on a training in October 9th through 11th in Rapid City. It's a training I created from the training that I'm certified in, but what I did is what I took that I'm certified in, and I made it my own by putting a lot of our cultural stuff into it, like our Lakota values into it. So it's called a Warrior's Image Training. And that's what I'm doing, is I'm reaching out to all the schools, all the native schools and BIE schools, and saying, hey, I would love to see the youth council at this training, because it's going to be the type of training, not exactly the way TLE went through it, and the one that Lila started with, and S&T. It's going to be my perception of the training, and it's going to talk about a lot more stuff. So, I mean, that's something I'm willing to do. I'm willing to work with the people. I mean, I appreciate you guys giving me these opportunities to work with you guys. And John Maxwell, when I got certified with him, he always talked about generosity, to give back. And that's what I try to do. That's why I'm going to be helping out with the youth stage. I'm actually going to be giving out 2 3-month coaching certificates to the youth. So then that way, I will be able to, they'll say, okay, hey, let's do this coaching program, this 3 months of coaching through them. And I'm going to donate my time up there too.
the reason why I'm saying that is because I'd rather have it here. I mean, I know you want to go up to Rapid. I mean, but I don't know if our youth would have that much funding to go up that way. I mean, we'd have to have something around here locally so they can actually attend it. 'Cause I know some people are not fortunate to drive up to Rapid, spend a night, so if we can have something here, especially if the council tries doing it.
I live here, so I'm here to help in any way.
And we can always build on it, Ben, with personnel, and look at those options with Pete. He's very flexible and really willing to help. And he'll be up there with you today, donating his time. So, I think it's a good start.
Chris, go ahead. Oh, I should call for the question. Oh, Chris.
Okay. I was gonna call for the question.
Question it. All in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14. 14.
Opposed?
Zero.
Not voting?
One.
Motion carried. Thank you, Pete. Our lunch break, guys. Our lunch break.
Chairman?
Hold on, just add that.
And then the other one had to do with the MOU for the Bear Butte land up at like Sturgis County or up there. And so I just didn't know if those had been reviewed legally or what the next step to get those moved forward.
That MOU was that for services, for ambulance, emergency services?
There's two different ones.
Two MOUs in there.
One's for the
One is with the, city of Sturgis, and the other one's with
Meade County.
Oh, Meade County Sheriff.
Oh, yeah. Those get updated though, don't they? Every single year?
No.
They're new.
These haven't been-
The other ones that were done were for Pennington County.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Probation.
Next law.
Yep. Right here. Other business, other residents.
We might not be able to but we just handed out our information. Yeah, I just didn't know if you had to act on it or do anything. Action? We get an audit.
Since 86. Freddie Gray and more out. Okay.
So one more time.
I wanted it to be something doing whatever it was, but as life went on, I got humbled and those.
Yeah, so this one and then this one.
With me.
It's white.
Research it.
Go back tomorrow. Hey, need somebody to present. We got the first one, it's 143. Motion to approve.
What was that number, 143?
124, 143, it has a number on it. Up already.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I had this other.
Do with Bear Butte.
A motion for emergency resolution or legislation?
Well, just motion to approve.
Oh, motion to approve.
Need a second? Chris, go ahead. Read it into the record.
Which number?
143.
43?
Yep, that one. Yep.
I think we have one with the sheriff's office.
Oh, okay.
So we previously had one with Pennington County for Peshwa, and so this one would be for the Meade County and the Sturgis County for the Bearview area. I'll just start 1, 2, 3, 4. Whereas the Rosebud Sioux Tribe has purchased the land and premises on Bearview Lodge, see Exhibit A, and whereas Bearview is a sacred tribe to Shaponi, 7 council fires of the Lakota Oyate, and an essential part of the permanent home of the Great Sioux Nation under 1851 and 1868 Sioux Nation treaties with the United States of America. And whereas the Rosebud Sioux Tribe is a constituent tribe of the Great Sioux Nation and a signatory to the 1851 and 1868 treaties. Whereas Bearview is a site for Lakota gatherings, including the 1857 Sioux Nation Council, including Red Cloud, Spotted Tail, Crazy Horse, and City Bull, convened to protect the Oyate from the incursions of the Americans and the U.S. Army. Whereas Bearview is a site for sacred ceremonies, including the Hamblecha Vision Quest and the Inupi Sweat Lodge, and our traditional leaders, including Leonard Todos, Frank Russo, Corn Chips, and Crazy Horse, have gone to Bearview to practice our ceremonies, and Bearview, our sacred places, our sacred ceremonies are essential to our Lakota culture and history and the heart of our Lakota people, now and in the future. And whereas for the future of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe and our Lakota people, the recovery of Bearview as Indian lands and the Bearview Lodge as local lodging and a site for our Lakota people engaged in sacred ceremonies, cultural and language activities, education forums, and youth activities is essential to nation, spiritual, cultural, mental, and physical well-being. And whereas as a condition of statehood, the people of South Dakota recognize that America retains authority over Indian affairs, agreed never to claim our Indian lands, and agreed to honor congressional acts to authorize recovery of Indian lands, such as Section 5 of the Indian Reorganization Act, Constitution of the State of South Dakota, Article 22. Whereas the Rosebud Sioux Tribe has filed an application with the Secretary of Interior to take the said Bearview into trust, and whereas Bearview is a sacred site and the tribe has provided that alcohol and illegal drugs shall be prohibited at Bearview. And whereas to protect and manage the Indian land at Bearview, the tribe offers the City of Sturgis and Meade County Sheriff, South Dakota, the attached memoranda of understanding on mutual aid to protect persons and property at aforesaid Bearview land, see Exhibit B. Whereas the aforesaid memoranda of understanding on mutual aid are intended to and shall apply in Meade County, South Dakota, and shall not apply to other Indian lands. Now therefore be it resolved that the Rosebud Sioux Tribe approves the memoranda of understanding on mutual aid to support the trust land process and to provide for intergovernmental cooperation at Bearview, and these agreements shall not apply to Indian lands in Todd, Millette, Tripp, and Gregory counties. Be it further resolved that this is a sacred site, the aforesaid Bearview land shall be a drug and alcohol-free zone, and be it further resolved that pursuant to said memoranda of understanding on mutual aid, the Rosebud Sioux Tribe shall rely on the Bureau of Indian Affairs Public 193-638 contract, and the Federal Tort Claims Act shall protect such tribal police and BIA Special Law Enforcement Commission officers. And be it further resolved that the Rosebud Sioux Tribe reserves all its inherent sovereign and treaty rights over all its Indian trust lands, including the lands at Bearview, when said lands are taken into Indian trust status for the Rosebud Sioux Tribe by the Secretary of Interior. And be it further resolved that the Rosebud Sioux Tribal Council authorizes the tribal president or tribe vice president, tribal secretary of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe, to sign any and all documents required to finalize the memoranda of understanding on mutual aid between the Meade County Sheriff's Office and the City of Sturgis.
Okay, you get a little chance to review the MOU.
There's a typo.
Okay.
On GII on both MOUs. It's in Meade.
What is this, my salsa?
My salsa, yeah.
Is it really on both of them?
Yeah.
Oh. That's funny. Somebody was hungry.
What's it say, Wayne?
My salsa.
My salsa? Just get to say, my what?
May also, I think.
May also. Amendments.
Wait, that J, is that correct? What does that have to do with?
Oh, that this, yeah, I didn't know for sure.
Yeah, meeting?
Is that, yeah, that's okay.
Cameron, we have a question.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Kathy.
I just have a question on this one, be it further resolved. I just like clarification of what they're actually saying. Where it has, be it further resolved. It said memorandum of understanding on mutual aid, the Rosebud Sioux Tribe shall rely on the Bureau of Indian Affairs PL 93-638 contract and the Federal Tort Claims Act. This is my question. Shall protect such police and BI special law enforcement commissioned officers. What is that addressing me?
We have Mark Patel down there who actually has got the enforces tribal law on our tribal members.
Okay.
And-
Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions? Not really a question. Wayne?
I have
Oh,
one.
go ahead.
I just wanted to verify that it was reviewed by Eric or our legal representation. And has it been?
But we reviewed it. Did
Did our
Sandman
attorney
review
review
it?
Attorneys reviewed it, right? There's been a legal review.
Did Sandman review it?
PLE had Mark Van Norman on contract to help us put this into trust. And he's the one that developed these MOUs and the resolutions.
And has the state entities been involved in that MOU?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they've had their say-so on it already.
Thank you. That was my question. Sorry.
Okay. Wayne questioned it, so let's vote on it. All in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Opposed?
0.
Not voting?
1.
Motion carried. And the next one is 2024-85. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve 2024-85?
Any second? Wayne, go ahead.
1, 2, third whereas Article 4, Section 1B of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe Constitution authorizes the Rosebud Sioux Tribal Council to purchase and otherwise acquire lands in Section 5B and D as amended of the corporate charter of Rosebud Sioux Tribe authorizes the tribe to purchase property of every description, real and personal, and to borrow money for any purposes consistent with federal and tribal law. And whereas the following described real estate, generally referred to as the Luckenbaugh interest, has come up for sale in Todd County, South Dakota. Undivided half interest in the southwest quarter, section 22, township 39 north, range 25 west, 6th prime meridian, Todd County, South Dakota, containing 80 acres more or less. The subject property includes both surface and subsurface resources. And whereas the Rosebud Sioux Tribal Rosebud Sioux Tribal Land Enterprise Board of Directors reviewed this possible real estate acquisition on March 1st, 2024 under resolution number 2024-004 and recommends approval of this resolution. And whereas the Rosebud Sioux Tribal Council and the Rosebud Sioux Tribal Land Enterprise Board of Directors is desirous of acquiring this real estate, and whereas pursuant to section 19 lands of the bylaws of TLE and the tribe is authorized to enter into an agreement with TLE to manage and operate subject to approval of the Commissioner of Indian Affairs or his duly authorized representative, all lands now in tribal ownership or which may come into tribal ownership from any source. And whereas pursuant to section 10, quote, purpose and objectives of the bylaws of TLE, TLE is authorized to, quote, provide a long-term land buying program which would benefit members of the tribe, unquote. And whereas the Rosebud Sioux Tribe, through TLE's land acquisition program, will purchase this fee land in the name of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe. And whereas the Rosebud Sioux Tribe, by this resolution, authorizes the tribal land enterprise to manage and operate subject property in accordance with section 19, quote, lands of the bylaws of TLE. And whereas the Rosebud Sioux Tribe will direct the Bureau of Indian Affairs to take the above described property in trust in the name of the United States of America and trust for the Rosebud Sioux Tribe under the Indian Land Consolidation Act. And now therefore be it resolved that the previously described real estate be acquired by Tribal Land Enterprise on behalf of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe for a purchase price not to exceed $114,160. And be it further resolved that the Rosebud Sioux Tribal Council authorizes the tribal president or tribal vice president and tribal secretary of the Rosebud Sioux Tribe to sign any and all documents required to finance and finalize the purchase of this real estate.
Discussion. Question by Jordan. All in favor?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Opposed?
Zero.
Not voting?
Zero.
Motion carried. Okay, is that all for Kelly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, we're gonna go for lunch. If we don't get one, we'll come back tomorrow. We'll get a form back. Huh?
I should have called for a dinner.